Hi, my name is Alina Truchel. Welcome to my video exploring Datura usage in ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica. Let's get started. Growing up in Arizona, Datura has always been a very beautiful and admired plant, and very prevalent here in the Southwest. On long walks and childhood days of adventuring through nature, this plant was alongside marking the beauty of the desert. Under a whimsical childlike fantasy, these flowers appear to be magical. Its purple hue and mystical connection to the moon and nightlife only solidifies this perspective. However, even as a small child, it was ingrained in many people's brains, including my own, that this plant was to be admired from afar. The reasoning surrounding this command was due to its dangerous poisonous properties. The inability to touch or interact with this plant made it appear even more special, mystical, and unique. It is incredible to grow up with this knowledge only to discover that it has a long history of powerful physical interactions with humans, including some of the greatest civilizations in history, ancient Egypt and regions of Mesoamerica, which we will be exploring. Before exploring the uses of Datura in ancient society, we will break down the nature and properties that give this plant its mind-altering effect. Its dark and mysterious nature come from the properties within this plant. It is not uncommon for people to utilize plants or mind-altering substances as medicinal aid. The Frontiers in Plant Sciences article cites, plant-based products constitute the primary source of healthcare for more than 4 billion people in underdeveloped countries. What is surprising is the choice to utilize a plant so potent and dangerous even in an ancient healthcare system lacking modern resources. This extremely toxic nature is rooted in the plant's potent tropane alkaloids. These alkaloids, a classification of nitrogenous organic compounds, found in many other drugs, offer unique properties to humans, with an extreme risk involved. The Frontier in Plant Sciences journal claims, Datura continues to be the focus of very extensive research since several of the tropanes, indoles, parolidians, and other alkaloids found in the plant have both therapeutic and sneaky toxicity. The risk of being poisoned is unfortunately what makes this substance so powerful and influential amongst recreational and medicinal consumers. Ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica indulged in these practices, which we will be exploring in the next slides. When examining the use of mind-altering substances in the ancient world, there is an incredibly prevalent pattern amongst human history. Almost every substance experimented with by civilizations across the world is utilized in an extremely similar manner. These physical applications can be broken into two categories, recreational and medicinal. Drawing from earlier in the documentary, where it was noted the prevalence of plant-based medicine in healthcare systems, it is apparent that both ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica heavily experimented with Datura as a medicine or aid. It is difficult to pinpoint the direct name and uses these civilizations lived by, but there are many theories to explore. With the extreme potency of this plant, it is believed to be used as a mixture to coincide with traditional medicines, leading to more desired effects. This theory is supported by the ancient Egyptian papyrus discovered in the 1800s. This is named the Eber Papyrus and is believed to date to 1550 BC. This medical document provides explicit evidence for the mixture of hallucinogens with their standard medicine to treat mental and physical ailments. This is where Datura is investigated, due to multiple mentions of the nightshade family in this text and in relation to this context. There is substantial evidence to show Datura being used to remedy respiratory ailments across multiple different cultures. There is no direct evidence to show this tradition passing through ancient Egypt, but still some clues and theories that point to this. E. Preedy in the Science Direct Journals quotes, "In 1873, George Ebers famously discovered a medical papyrus, the Ebers Papyrus, with evidence of inhalation as a source of introducing medicines to the body from as early as 1555 BC. This is just one example of mentions of respiratory aid, as the ancient Egyptians had a full grasp on the circulatory system and were actively combating respiratory illness. If Datura was somehow excluded from these remedies, it is widely believed, and backed through research, that these medicines are at least incredibly similar or distant relatives of Datura. Although there is not a strong standing and consensus surrounding the use of this plant during ancient Egyptian civilization, it is incredibly fascinating to investigate and theorize the combination of two astonishingly powerful existences. In search of more direct and specific evidence to support the use of this plant, research into Mesoamerican cultures will provide just that, which will be explored on the next slide. This plant being native to the Americas, it is apparent that the evidence of Datura use would be most prevalent amongst those societies. This is true for Mesoamerican cultures. This plant was widespread and heavily utilized for many purposes. It was revered for its intense symbolism for life and death, which is an idea that bleeds into Egyptian culture as well. Due to this heavy symbolism, it was used in rituals for spiritual and religious purposes. There are substantial research and evidence to suggest this idea, with processes such as spectrometry revealing these secrets. Adam King, through Cambridge University Press, reveals in his article that this technology demonstrates that it is possible to identify Datura residue in pottery and shell vessels, and that the use of Datura extends back into prehistory in both western Mexico and the American Southeast. This residue was left behind from food and drinking pots, where mixtures of certain plants would be processed. Being a culture very familiar with this plant and its properties, they were also aware of its dangers, being named the devil's plant. Due to its risky nature, much like the Egyptians, the plant would be mixed with other substances like tobacco. It was curated and utilized in multiple different respects, being used as an add-on, not the sole ingredient. F.J. Karad Artal in the Science Direct Journals claims numerous native peoples of northern Mexico and the southern United States used the plant as medicine, a means of diagnosing disease, to experience their novus visions during puberty rites, and as a hunting aid. There are major connections between these cultures and ancient Egypt, mainly surrounding the plant's medical purpose. Similar to the Ebers Papyrus, the Aztecs had their own medicinal text. This is known as the Badanis manuscript, and part of it is shown on the screen right here. Known to be written by Martin de la Cruz in the 1500s. This text confirms many of the theories and research previously stated. However, these documents do not explore a different side to the use of psychoactive substances. This is the deep influence these substances have on the arts, human connection, and humanity. And that will be explored next. The main focus when researching mind-altering substances amongst humanity is the physical, technical, and psychoactive properties and effects. However, this substance was not only appreciated for its mind-altering attributes, but its symbolic and aesthetic significance as well. Similar to how many substances today bring together humanity in forms of art, music, celebration, and overall human connection, Datura did the same. Anything shared by just two people can create a unique bond and shared connection, leading to a significant or symbolic artifact. In this instance, the shared use of Datura offers detailed, emblematic artifacts from both ancient Egypt and Mesoamerica. The first is located in the Department of Egyptian Antiquities at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. It is an incredibly detailed depiction of an ancient Egyptian noblewoman named Lady Taperet's funeral slate, which is depicted here on the left. It depicts multiple items, including what is believed to be Datura symbolizing life and death. The second artifact is located at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Gallery 360 in New York. This Mayan mural, which is depicted here on the right, is also thought to be depicting Datura, being a plant so prevalent and influential to their culture. These murals would encompass their architecture, showing how influential and widespread the use of this plant was in relation to art, connection, celebration, and shared experiences. The study of these great civilizations, including the use of a powerful substance like Datura, is incredibly important and humanizing. Humans are united in search of the same experiences and are at risk for behaviors that parallel every corner of humanity. This comes from the dual nature of our minds and curiosity, transcending desires of possibility for a being so physically small and powerless. Our intellect is constantly overworking and outrunning our physical capabilities, something even our ancient ancestors struggled with. This is where the use of these mind-altering substances is of most influence and desire. It allows the mind and body to relax or arouse, depending on the preference and circumstance. This allows the already curious mind to explore realms and ideas never thought of before, bringing meaning and purpose to areas deficient in such. And that will conclude the video, with one page left with all of the references utilized in this presentation. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful day.